Hi guys, hope you're all okay. Today I'm going to be doing my New Year or 2020, yes, 2020 aims. I don't want to call them New Year resolutions or New Year goals or whatever, because these are 2020 aims. It's still December while I'm recording this. I am making the most of my glorious Christmas tree. I love it. I know a lot of people I follow on Instagram seem to have taken their tree down like Boxing Day, which would break my heart if not happening. I love it, and it will be staying up for absolutely as long as possible. But yes, I've done these videos where I talk about aims for the last few years, and yeah, let's do one now. So this is what I say, it's December, but this won't go up until January, depending on editing skills, you know, just being honest. So the top thing, I have old school written a list on the back of my phone bill. Fabulous. Yeah, not a whole lot of things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 whole things on the list. So that might be a lot to some people, that might be not much to some, but yeah, top one on here, which has probably been the top thing on my list every year since like 2011. I may not have said it in the previous videos, but we're being a lot more open and honest about our journey these days. Top thing on my list is a baby. 2020, yeah, I'd very much like to get pregnant, stay pregnant, and give birth to a healthy child in 2020. That would be wonderful. We've been a lot more open with our IVF and our fertility journey this year. I think in previous years it may have danced around the subject, but as most of you know, that's what we're doing. I have had a dry Christmas because I'm currently on IVF medication. So yes, if you are not up to date to that, we had successful egg collection at the end of last year, and we have 3 very perfect embryos waiting in a freezer for us, and in January we are going to have one embryo, hopefully defrosted, put in, and it will stick, fingers crossed. That's the plan. I have a lot of that. It's a very hard topic to talk about because last February we went through this process. Obviously we are on our 3rd round of IVF, and we know having IVF is not a guarantee for a baby. We know having embryos in a freezer is not a guarantee of a baby. We know having a transfer is not a guarantee of having a baby. You know, the beginning part of 2019 we had a lot of hope, maybe a little bit of false hope, and then we had a lot of pain when things didn't work. So trying to be realistic, but still trying to hold on to hope and everything else, that this will be our turn. So yes, transfer is happening in January, and hopefully 2020 will be the year I become a mummy, but that is the top thing on my list. Whoop. Not to make the entire video about IVF, moving on. Next category I've put on here is friends and family. I think over the last couple of years, both me and John, but very much me, have distanced myself from friends and family. It's, I think IVF is a very isolating thing if you allow it to be, and as such there's quite a lot of me that's like, I can't be with you because you have a child, and that sounds so selfish and almost horrid, but that is how I felt. It's painful watching other people have what you have, and I'm just trying to be honest, and I don't want people to hate me for that comment, but it's when you see yourself trying to do everything right and, you know, admitting that you can't do it physically by yourself, and then paying a lot of money and putting yourself through physical and emotional pain, and it's still not happening, and then seeing people have that dream that you have accidentally, or what seems easily, is hard. And you know, being completely honest, when you see people that make parenting choices that you disagree with, that's hard as well. And I would never go to somebody, you know, you're doing that wrong, because I've not been a mummy. So, you know, maybe when I'm in that position, my opinion will change, but you just kind of step back and take yourself away from it. And that's happened a lot over the last few years. And then there's also the whole, you know, when you're on medication, you feel poorly, so you don't want to socialise. You know, there's certain things that when you're, you know, you can't drink alcohol, and a lot of my friends, the social aspects we do is drinking and eating, and it's like, I can't eat that, it makes me feel sick, or I can't eat that, it's got dairy in it, or I can't drink that because I'm on meds. But we're not telling anybody I'm on meds, we just look like miserable gits. But obviously now we're being much more open with our journey, so hopefully, you know, the whole social side of things can come back in. And it's same, you know, financially, a lot of, you know, your finances are tied up in IVF and all the other things that come along with that. So, you know, you don't want to go out for big, you know, spend lots of money on dinners and things, because you need, you know, that's money for other things. This whole video is going to turn into IVF, I can feel it. But now we're being more open with our journey. I'm hoping that, you know, we can try and rebuild some of the relationships that we've kind of distanced ourselves from over the last couple of years. So yeah, that's that. Charity. I want to get into charity a bit more. Me and John, I'm not going to make this video political, but me and John have certain political views, and they don't fit everybody's views, and that's absolutely fine. We all have a right to choose our thoughts on that. However, John and I have seen, especially in our local community, how there is a massive need for extra support. The food banks and things, it's still a growing requirement in our community where we live, so we are going to be doing more to assist with that in 2020. And you know, you can't always donate money because of commitments. There are other things you can do. You can't always donate time necessarily on a regular, you know, you can't give up every Tuesday afternoon of your week, but there are still things you can do to give and help and be a better part of society. And then that is something I intend to try and do in 2020, and say John and I are doing that one together. This one sounds a little bit blasé, but reading is on my list. I am a great buyer of books. I'm not a great reader of books. I am a great buyer of books. And I'm one of those people that I do say, oh, I don't have time to read as much as I would like, but I will spend 20, 30, 40 minutes on Insta stories, like watching other people's Insta stories. And like, if you can do that, you have the time, you just have to choose how you use it. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely try and read some of the lovely books that I have bought more in 2020. Cooking, been on my list every year for the last few years, and I'm getting better. I am getting better. I actually enjoy cooking. It's quite simple when it's just cooking for two. And luckily, John, I think he's only ever really complained about one thing I've ever cooked for him. And that's because I went a little bit heavy-handed with coriander, which neither of us are a fan of anymore. But yeah, trying to continue learning to cook new things, have new skills. Again, I have a lot of very nice cookbooks that I don't necessarily use. I think every birthday and Christmas for the last 10 years I've probably had cookbooks that I've asked for, that I've requested, and then I like read them, think they're beautiful, stick post-it notes in them, and don't necessarily use them. So yeah, gonna continue with my cooking journey. Next one on the list is learn more Polish. So obviously we go to Poland a lot, and I can do the basics, but I want to know more. 10-year plan, 15-year plan. We do intend to retire to Poland. We love it there. It's a great country, fabulous community, and because of John's dual nationality, we, even with whatever, again, not wanting to get political in this video, regardless of what happens, Brexit, hard Brexit, soft Brexit, whatever, we will still have the right to roam because John's got dual nationality and I'm obviously married to him, so we can live wherever we'd like in Europe. And so the plan is to one day live there, retire there. Got a few years before I retire. But yes, it's something that is needed. I need to learn more Polish. We've looked into courses. There's a really good one starting locally to us in January, but unfortunately we would miss 2 weeks because we're going to be in Poland. So I think there's another one starting in Easter. So we're going to hopefully get enrolled onto that one. I'm saying we because John says he's going to do it with me, which is a little bit unfair because he is already... How do I put this? I wouldn't say he's bilingual, but like if a Polish person was to speak to him slowly, he could understand it, like, and respond. When we're in Poland, he's a lot more confident speaking in Polish. When we're in England, especially in front of his mum, who is fluent, like seamless Polish, he's a little bit more nervous about his pronunciation. Like he knows the word, but he questions his own pronunciation. So he needs it more for the confidence of being able to actually speak Polish, whereas I need it because I can basically, say hello and thank you, goodbye, please, and order lunch. I need to know other words. Next one on here is make greener choices. I was in the renewables industry for 13 years, so I was saving the planet for 13 years. I moved out of that and went into housing just because funding cuts and things. It wasn't an industry that was very stable. I got made redundant twice in 13 years because it's an industry that is very much reliant on government funding and not there. It wasn't something at that point that the government were putting funding into. Obviously, we're now seeing it as a climate crisis. So I'm not saying it may be an industry I go into again one day. But yeah, I think on a more smaller individual scale, I'm going to make more greener choices. I have for a while been, trying to do a lot more things like using charity shops, and like I can't remember the last time there was a Primark haul on my channel. I'm not saying there never will be, but at one point there was pretty much a Primark haul every month, maybe twice a month. Trying to use charity shops and eBay and something, pre-loved items. This was from eBay, pre-loved item. And that kind of thing, and then trying to buy a lot of the vegetables we've had this Christmas were from farm shops, sourcing things locally, that kind of thing. Obviously we already do the standard recycling. it would be wonderful to become zero waste, but I just don't think it is practical currently, especially with our international travel. But offsetting is something that we do try and do, and we're going to try and do more. So yes, greener choices for 2020. Go to church more. Now, I know, again, I've done politics, criticised people's parenting, and now I'm doing religion. If you're still here, well done. I want to go to church more in 2020. John and I are both believers. It's not very fashionable. It's not a very cool thing to say, but I'm not here to be cool. I'm here to be me. We go to church a lot when we're in Poland. I find a lot of comfort in being in church, and rightly or wrongly, when we are going through IVF and things, you selfishly need that. And I kind of want to get to a point where I'm not going to church just for selfish reasons, because I do enjoy church. I love going, very much love the singing aspect of church, because realistically, as an adult, the only other time you do sing is karaoke, and you're normally drunk, and not being able to drink a lot the last couple of years. So yeah. And again, it's another sense of community and giving, and you know, reaching out to people and feeling part of something. So yes, that is on my list. And the last one on there is be kinder to me. What does that mean, be kinder to me? 2019 was a horrendous year in a lot of aspects. You know, when our double transfer didn't work, I obviously was in a lot of physical pain, and emotionally it was horrendous. And I had a very dark, you know, couple of months mental health wise. It was hard, and only 2 members of my family knew about it, and even then I was trying to be somewhat sheltered, not allowing them in fully, which wasn't healthy. And I made it through it purely by luck and probably the love of my husband. John was like my rock through that, even though he was probably emotionally breaking just as much as I was. So there was that part of it, and again, I isolated myself from people, and kind of had this fake, false outside world Katy, and then internally I was dark and broken and kind of hurt. And then, you know, I kind of made my way through it, and I had a rather happy summer, and then obviously it was preparing for growing eggs and things, and we did all of that in the autumn. End of autumn, beginning of winter, I was very much negative towards myself. Obviously, once upon a time, I was a very big girl. You know, I was like size 28, 30. And I got down to like size 14. And that size 14 didn't last very long. It kind of went up to a 16, 18. And after the last round of egg collection, I have had a further weight gain. And I was quite horrible about myself to me. Like, you know, I felt fat and ugly, and I was angry with myself, and I was disappointed with myself for allowing that to happen. And yeah, again, not being kind to me. Whereas now I'm kind of, it'd be lovely to be a more slender version of myself. But if I'm honest, I want to have a great big lovely round pregnancy tummy this year, so I don't want to be a skinny mini. But I kind of get that thing when I did get down to that size 12 and my hair was falling out, and I just felt and my skin looked grey. I didn't do it right. I just think that it'd be better to kind of be kinder to me and accept me. You know, if I go back up to that size 30, so be it. If I get back down to that size 14, so be it. let's focus on what's important. And I kind of think by doing the other things on the list, you know, I have very little control over the baby side of things, so we'll ignore that for this topic. But the friends and family, the charity, the taking time to read, taking time to cook, going to church more, I think will actually make me kinder to me. Now, I'm not saying these steps would work for everybody. You know, some people don't like their family. Some people don't believe in God. You know, some people hate cooking. I don't think these things would work for everyone, but I think the other things that I've put on the plan, on the aims list, might help me be kinder to me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whew, that was rambly. You will notice that John is not a list item this year. Last 2 years, I had sections on here where there were things like focus more on my husband, focus time on our relationship. I haven't put that on the list this year because I don't need to, because it's probably the one thing that I have stuck to and I have continued for the last 2 years. And John is the most important person in my life, and he no longer needs to be on a list because he's already up there. He's already my number one priority. And if baby happens this year, he might have to take a little shift to position number 2, but he doesn't need to be on the list because he's my best friend, and he will always have a lot of my focus and my love. And yeah, I don't want to get too soppy because I know you guys don't like that. But yes, I just thought I'd explain why he's not on the list. He's still my priority, but because I've had him on the list for the last 2 years, it's now embedded in who we are and who I am, I think. So he no longer needs to be there. Right, I am going to stop rambling. Well done if you've made it this far. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful 2020. I'd be really interested to hear what your aims for 2020 are. Yes, right, we've been talking for half an hour, so I'm going to stop. But thank you for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.